This is Erin Somerville at McCallum High School going over the legislative process, looking at why laws are so difficult to make. And we've already, going over constitutional foundations, thought about the role of government and the structure of our government, the Madisonian system, and how it might divide out power and have an elaborate system of checks and balances to slow down the lawmaking process. So we kind of already have thought about this question. So in pondering this, we might, before we even start, think about maybe laws are difficult to make because that was the intention, that laws should be difficult to pass for this country, and that we want our legislative process to be slow so that maybe it's more stable or that it creates laws that are more enduring. But we're going to look, more at the actual process. We'll make a flow chart to see what those checks and balances are that slow down the process so much. So this is Congress, and you can notice that there's some beautiful symmetry to Capitol Hill. Capitol Hill is another term for Congress because this is Capitol Hill. So our Congress is organized into two chambers, and that's what this building demonstrates. You have the House of Representatives on one side, the Senate on the other. So a bicameral legislature means two chambers, bicameral, two chambers or two houses. So our legislature, the body that makes laws for the federal government, Congress, is got two parts, the House of Representatives and the Senate. So why have this structure? At the Constitutional Convention, there was debate over how power and representation in Congress should work. Some states have very large populations. They would say, we're going to pay more in taxes. The laws will affect more of our people, so we should have more power in the federal government. But a state is a state, so small states would argue back, we are all states, we all fought in the Revolutionary War side by side, that there should be state equality. So the Great Compromise was over representation. To have fair and equal representation, the House of Representatives would have membership based on population. So the bigger states would send more representatives to have voting power in the House of Representatives. Texas gets 36 representatives in the current Congress out of 435 representatives. So we have a lot of votes there. California, a larger state, gets 53 seats in the House of Representatives. Montana, just one. So in the House, representation is based on population. And in the Senate, each state sends 2 senators. So each senator is arguably as powerful as another senator. And the states have equality. So one chamber provides state equality. The other chamber kind of provides more equality for the citizen by being based on population. So bicameral legislature resolves the issue over representation. The other more of a byproduct but good benefit to the system is that you have intra-branch checks and balances. So for a law to pass, it's going to have to go through both chambers. And that's going to slow down the process. And if a bill passes the House of Representatives, it might not pass the Senate or vice versa. And finally, not here, but a third reason that we might have this is tradition. We are following the British tradition. We didn't come up with this idea entirely on our own. The British Parliament is split into 2 houses, the House of Lords and the House of Commons. So, it is also modeled after the British tradition. So there's 3 reasons why we have 2 chambers. Now here, lots of text. What you have is Article 1, Section 7, how a bill becomes a law. So pause this and read it. I'll have to move myself. Okay. And I'll move myself here. Okay, so now that you've read it, kind of tricky stuff. Things you should have noticed. Something about a revenue bill starts in the House. A revenue bill is a bill that's going to collect taxes. All other bills can start in either chamber. But once it goes through both chambers, it would go to the president, so he's part of it. If he approves it, he signs it. If he doesn't, he has to come up with objections, send it back. So there's kind of a dialogue going on where the president communicates to the House or the Senate, here's what you could change, and maybe I'd sign it. That is the president's veto. But his veto could be overridden if 2/3 of each house override his veto. So when he kicks back the bill with the list of objections, Congress could tweak it and make it something that he would sign. But if they can get 2/3 of the vote in each chamber, so 290 in the House, 67 in the Senate, then it's overriding his veto. Now, if he does nothing within 10 days and Congress is waiting, it'll become a law anyway. But if Congress adjourns, then he has no one to send the list of objections to, and that's a pocket veto. So that's what the Constitution says. And what we're going to do here is pause this. We're going to make a flowchart on there's a link to a video. So pause this and then go to that link. It's a 15 or 20 minute video of me making a flowchart that you should copy too. And then come back to this and we'll finish. Okay, so we can see that Congress has organized itself through committees, because otherwise it's really difficult to get 535 people to all agree on one thing, and there would certainly be no time for the debate on any given matter in a year to look at thousands of bills. So the committee system, why committees? They make things more efficient, they provide expertise. What you didn't get from the flowchart is that there are 4 kinds of committees. Now today, the ones you need to know, I have underlined. The other ones, there are other kinds, and we're going to come to them later. But a standing committee, that's really the committee and the subcommittee that a bill first goes through. So those are permanent. The members might change, but often members stay on that committee for a while because they become experts on that topic. And they deal with a particular topic, particular subject matter. Special or select committees we'll come back to later. Joint committees, you should know, they have members from both houses. They're not all that interesting, and we might mention them again later. And then today, for the legislative process, the other kind of committee you need to know is the conference committee. So in the legislative process, we saw the standing committee and the conference committee. Standing one is the first set of committees that look at the bill and decide if it's worth the full chamber, the full House or the full Senate, even debating and voting on it. And then the conference committee only arises if you need to iron out the differences between a bill. But if the House and Senate pass the same version, there will be no need for a conference committee. Now the committees. The committees in Congress have members from both parties. So senators that are Republican and senators that are Democrat will both sit on the same committee together. But the committee chairperson, they're going to come from the majority party. So if the Republicans have a majority in the Senate, then they get to choose the chairman of each committee. So every committee right now, in January of 2016, in the Senate, has a Republican chairperson. And every committee in the House has a Republican chairperson because the Republicans have a majority in both chambers. So if most bills die in committee, and committees really decide what bills are voted on, then the power of having the majority is more awesome than just having a majority of votes. So most people think, oh, the Republicans have a majority. When we vote on bills, they're going to have a majority, so they'll have an advantage. But the real power comes from the fact that the majority party controls all those committees. So we did that, and now there's a link, a second link down there to watch this video. Copy this vocabulary if you don't already know it, because it's used a lot in the video and you need to know it. And as you are watching the video, any of your notes that you want to take on this video should help you to answer the question of the day: why is it so hard to make law? Why is it so hard to pass bills? After the video, write your summary.